Let me turn live chat on so I can see everybody. Let's make some tea. Today is day boobs apparently. Today is day um 34. 34 going live Monday through Friday. What am I doing here? I lost my brain. Okay, I'm gonna make some silver needle with the white nectarines again. Just because I've been feeling kind of emotional the past couple days. And I know why, but sometimes I'm like, why? I'm like, come on, brain. Things are hard sometimes, and I like things that comfort me when I feel that way. And silver needle with white nectarines is certainly one of those things. But today I'm gonna jabber about what it's been like to go live every day for 34 days now. Remember I came on when I first started this. I said I was only going to do it for a month, and then that was like whatever. But halfway through, it was very apparent that I was going to go past. So I don't want you to think that this is the last tea time. But there are a lot of videos on YouTube about people who go live every day for a month. But here's the thing. Those videos just talk about what it does for like their channel and like their view ratings and like earnings and things like that. I want to talk about the real reason that I started doing this, and that was to see how it would impact my brain. Like if it would help me with my avoidance behavior. And there have been things that I couldn't even have fathomed that it would have done. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today, but I'm going to let myself get into this tea first. And yeah, so I am, while we wait for people to roll in, it always gives people a chance to, get the notifications and stuff. Whoa, there we go. I ended up getting some wine cap mushrooms planted in the garden. I made a little video about it. I haven't put it together and uploaded it yet. It's probably not the best video I've ever made. Right, because I don't really do gardening videos. I do things in the wild. But I thought, some people had been asking me a lot about it. So I think I might toss that up today. Members will get early access to it. I might just make it access to all because it's not really a... But, and then I do have the cayenne salve video coming up this weekend. But yeah, I did that yesterday, and then I went to town and an appointment, and then we had to do grocery shopping. So we didn't get home until like 5. Well, to be fair, it's like half an hour both ways, so it's an hour just to get home. We didn't head until 1, so I'm trying not to beat myself up about it. I'm like, yeah, it takes time, and an hour of that was driving. So. But anyhow, so yeah, I'm just gonna wait for my tea to wrap up today after the live. It's supposed to get like 80 degrees out today, and then go back into like rain and even like some sleet type situation, because that's what happens in the high mountain desert. But so I'm gonna do the scantest amount of outside work this morning after the live, and then I need to replant or repot a bunch of my little tomato seedlings. They're not happy, and I think it's the seedling starter that I bought. So I'm gonna give them new dirt, and then I'm gonna give them like 5-6 days to see if they start looking better. And if they don't look better, I'm gonna sit them aside. I'll wish them luck, but then I'm gonna start all new seeds, because I'm not gonna start off my growing season with unhappy seeds and such, But I think that repotting them will probably help. I'm gonna throw a stronger light on them too to see if that kicks it up a bit. So that's what I'll be doing today, pretty much. We also we dropped Charlie off at the vet today, the little dog I talked about yesterday, to see if, I don't know, he's supposed to have surgery on his teeth tomorrow, but I don't think he has the physical stamina to survive a surgery, so that's why we dropped him off today to see. I don't want them to just jump into giving him a surgery if his body's not strong enough to handle it. But all right, tea is ready. This smells amazing. I also had a pretty good night last night because it wasn't puppy watch night for me, which means I gotta sleep in my bed. Me and my husband are taking turns with Lula, the new puppy. Because we can't just leave her alone in the living room type of situation. And She will be kennel trained eventually, but we also want her to be accustomed to sleeping next to everybody. So, but she's getting better at it. She didn't sleep very well for him last night, but the night before she slept well for me. But I was happy to be in the bed instead of on the couch. Ooh, that is so nice. It tastes like if summer had a flavor, but like not inner city summer. Like if you were like in a nectarine orchard and you could taste like the warmth of the sunshine. And it's like just slightly like vegetal, like the smell of fresh grass, but just barely. Like it's been a few days, but you can still kind of smell it, right? I love it. It's one of my most favorite things in the world, I think, at this point in my life. Okay, so one thing that has been a big difference for me after going live for 30 days is I'm no longer really avoiding things. Like when I first started this, it wasn't that I was avoiding it, that I'd have to be like, okay, tea time, right? And I'm like, you can do this, April. You've got this, right? But it actually became more of a all right, tea time, like I'm ready for tea. Sometimes I wish I could have tea time earlier because I'm like, here's tea. And I know that I can, nothing's stopping me. But um but then also on the flip side, on the days that I don't really feel like doing anything, or if I'm like low or down, I make myself do it, and it's easier to make myself do it, and I always come out at the end of it feeling better. So it doesn't have to be about going live, but that's just kind of like training our brain that on the other side of avoidance is like a dopamine hit from completion. Right, but also like it's like when you're depressed and like you really don't want to take a shower, but if you took that shower, you would feel a little bit better. Right, so it's kind of the same thing, right? So that has been a big change that I have found in my brain, but it has also led to other changes. Like I'm also making all those short videos 5 days a week. I record those right after I jump off of here, right? I'm still in like the mindset, and that has been really helpful because I was like, before I started these lives, I was basically ready to walk away from my massive Instagram count. Now, what's funny is I have more subscribers on YouTube, but that wasn't the case until about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, when some things I posted like really blew up. I was at 100,000. I hit that mark, and then I've just climbed past. But I was gonna walk away from my Instagram after having it for a decade because I would post something and it just didn't matter. Like, not that it wasn't a good post or that the numbers mattered, but it's like you have to look at where you're spending your time and your energy. Like if I'm working hard to put something on Instagram, but their system hides me from everybody, it's like it just makes me feel like shit and it's a waste of my time. But I started doing those little short videos where I'm just answering a person's question that they've submitted under one of my reels on Instagram, and it has really opened things back up for me, and I don't feel so overwhelmed about being present on Instagram or social media. That's just what I do. I answer a question a day, Monday through Friday, and even doing that, at first it was hard for me to like get into the rhythm of I wanted to re-record it, make it better, whatever, and eventually I'm like, nope, that's it. That's what I'm uploading. Have a good day, right? And it has gone really well. And then it also allows me to have things to upload here besides my tea time Monday through Friday, right? And that might seem like I'm just talking about content, but what it really is, for the first time in a long time, is me not feeling overwhelmed about being present on social media, and that's really powerful. That's really, really powerful. If I don't feel like I have to force myself to be somewhere, my nervous system no longer feels like being present is danger, right? And so um, that has been a real help for me. Now, from a psychological standpoint, it's been a rough time for all of us, right? And I got to the point, and I talked about this in my tea time video where it was called like walking through fear or letting go of fear, something like that, living with fear. I had gotten to the point where I was doing bare minimum to get by. Right. Like everything, like I couldn't be present in anything besides fear, worry, concern. And ironically, that fear, worry, and concern were going to be what was actually impacting my ability to exist and, not be homeless and have food in my fridge, not the things that I was fearing and worrying and out of my control. Right. But it's really hard to see it when you're in it. Right. And I had been pulling out of it okay, like before doing the tea time, but it was like my brain couldn't see how many like changes I had made with the apothecary and all these things that I had done, um, because our nervous system just gets stuck in that direct mode network in our brain where it's like even if like I felt like I never had any time to do anything because I was always working, even if the reality was I was only working like 3 or 4 hours a day, maybe less some days, or not working at all, but we're too busy. Right. And so something about going live every morning here allowed my brain or my nervous system to find a different pattern, a different cycle, where I was realizing that by, let's say, 11 o'clock, I'm done working, right? And then suddenly I'm like, oh, I can work on the garden. It was like it gave my brain permission to, like, see that something had changed, because it's really hard. We can make a bunch of change, whether that's with, our mental health, our physical health, like, well, maybe not so much physical health because you definitely see the differences in that, but like when it comes to like our surroundings and things, it can be hard to see change if you're living with a bunch of like damage from stress and anxiety and fear and things like that. It's hard for your brain to see that because that's dangerous, because your brain only wants to focus on what you're telling it you're terrified of, right? And so I really think going live allowed me to see all the changes I had made. And I had made a lot. By the time I went live, I had already started working with Beehive Botanicals to help outsource, like within the US, making my herbal supplement capsules. I got help making the pit goop. I've got all these books done. I'm not having to do shop updates anymore, which, were brutal and on my body for a decade. And so it, that's one thing that I'm really grateful for this live. So in combination, I've got lack of avoidance now. I'm no longer avoiding doing things as much. I mean, I am a human. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't feel good, but I still get up and I don't find myself, like, for example, I'll be sitting in my chair and I'll think about needing to do something. And then usually you think about it and you're like fucking Eeyore. You're like, I just doesn't matter or whatever, right? Like now I'm just like, oh, I need to, and then I just hop up and do it. Right, and that doesn't sound like much, but it's actually a really powerful shift from like an emotional and a neurological standpoint. Like that means I am rewiring the direct mode network in my brain. Um, and it also helped me see more that I had made, like changes with the apothecary. And from a business standpoint, I'm like, wow, the thing about being your own boss, if you're self-employed and you run a small business, is it's really, really, really hard to think that you're done with work. It's really hard. I would say that for the past decade that I've been running Wildwood Apothecary, it wasn't until I started doing these lives that I had no real way to separate work. And that's crazy. That's crazy to think about. Like, so now what happens is I wake up in the morning, I do a little bit of a morning routine. I hop onto my phone. I answer all the comments. Usually, like, I go through YouTube comments and then I go through Instagram comments. But then I get to, like, my Facebook ad comments, the ones that, like, I need to answer because they're, like, questions about something I've made or something like that. And I try to do a balance of all three, you know. And then, I get ready to go live and I hang out with y'all and have my tea. Um, which allows me to process things and think about things, and it's like I'm having a conversation with a friend every morning pretty much. And it takes some pressure off of my husband. to have to hear all the thoughts in my head all the time. Um, and then I record that video, like the short video, right? Our reel, wherever you're watching at. I upload it to Instagram. I upload it and schedule it to YouTube. And then I catch up on like my Facebook ad comments one more time for the most part. And then by 11 o'clock, I'm done working. And on some days I have more online work to do. Like I might have to like submit a label for legal review, or I might have to like fix like an email situation or things like that. But it's like I'm done by like 11 o'clock. I'm free for the most part to, be in my garden or think about making something that I just want to make. Like if I want to like make food that's not dinner related or lunch related, or like um if I want to do nothing, if I just want to stare at shitty movies all day, or if I want to, as it's getting nicer, if I want to go do something. Like, I haven't had any of that for a really long time. Even if I did those things, it always felt like I was always busy and always on. And another thing I'm noticing is that, and this is sound weird, but um, I forget about like something I've uploaded to Instagram. Not that I like actually forget about it, but I'm not hyper checking the comments. Right. I'm not. I mean, I go through in batches. Usually, like halfway through the day, I'll be like, okay, I'll take 5-10 minutes to like answer comments, and then I'm not on my phone anymore. Versus constantly checking, constantly, it's almost like a weird version of like small business doom scrolling, and so that has been a really big change for me. And I've also found that now I have weekends because if I'm going live Monday through Friday, Saturday through Sunday are naturally my days off. And that has been a really interesting shift too because I haven't felt that in since like middle school. Cuz I've been like on my own pretty much since I was 13, and I've always, been my own source of income. I've never like really had a job, and so having those weekends, I guess I had it when my kids went to school, right? Um, they're old enough and out of school now, but I don't know. It has just been a big difference. It's like I feel free. I don't feel like beholden to anything. I feel like I wake up and I'm like, yes, this is what we're going to do this weekend. And sometimes I am getting stuff done that is like non work, like garden stuff and things like that. Um, and so, you know, it's pretty fantastic. And I think that I'm really grateful that I've done this. I also feel like it's given me a lot of ways to look forward, like, and see a bunch of different options. Like, if I hadn't started going live every day, if I hadn't started doing this every day with y'all, what happened is I would not have started doing the short videos for Instagram. I wouldn't even have seen that path forward. And I have like all these like forward exciting ideas, like what I'm going to even do for like this physical space, like this weekend. Right? Like I'm like, yes, I will come back next Monday and it will likely look different as long as I get around to it. And I think I'm trying to. And and so it's giving me like all these like capacity to like move forward and have like ideas for the future. And I won't say that I never had ideas for the future before because I've been working hard. I've been working hard to change things with the apothecary, but like future for myself and things that I enjoy and things that aren't necessarily work related. And I've just been seeing all this. I'm actually also, it's allowing me to like, I don't know, take steps and just doing little small things every day, small things every day, a little bit in the garden every day, a little bit on the house every day, and like suddenly my personal like surrounded living space that I existed is like getting back to I don't know, it's getting to somewhere that's more manageable, that's less stressful because I'm not all consumed by my nervous system thinking that I am just stuck in a never-ending grind, right? And I don't know. It has been a really big change. So somebody asked, um, what will I keep going live? Yeah, I plan on it. I do. Um, we've even got, and we never do this, but we've done it one other time before. We decided to plan a coast trip for ourselves, which is a big deal. We don't do like, I've only ever gone on one other vacation in my life like that. So um, we're doing that sometime in August. And I'm like, I gotta have like tea time on the beach. Right? Or like at least beach adjacent in the hotel room or something like that. Like, I know that I could skip a few days if I wanted to, but I don't. That's the thing though. Like, this doesn't feel like work to me. Like, I don't feel beholden. Like, I actually want to be here with you, you know? And so I plan on moving it forward, and eventually, we'll be outside in the garden tea times. We might be, and because what's also really interesting from a YouTube channel standpoint, I was like, I have like 3 channels within my channel now. I've got my normal how-to videos and plant identification and all the things that a lot of you know me from, right? And then I've got the short videos, which I had never done before, and that kind of captures a different, like, little short snippets of information. And now I've basically got like a live, real-time recorded vlog. Right? And I know I do Q&As and stuff, but I feel like a lot of this allows y'all to get to know me, right? Like, and not that I haven't been like really open and transparent about who I am over the years, especially if you follow me on Instagram. It's harder to do on YouTube, because it's YouTube videos. But it gives people that only know me from YouTube the ability to actually get to know me, to see me as a human. And that part right there is super important, because I don't ever want to be the type of herbalist. There are a dime a dozen, and I don't mean that in a bad way or a mean way, but all of them, so many, not all, but so many are like, I am not a human. I am perfectly put together. I have no problems. I have no illnesses. I will softly speak to you and say Latin names perfectly. Right? And I get it. Like, they're trying to be like taken as like this like super serious professional next big name herbalist, but it makes the average human like me and you feel like we don't have our shit together. Like, so I want you to be able to look at me and be like, she's having a rough time right now. Or, yeah, she has emotions. Oh, she's not feeling good today. She is a real life human. And that's important because it helps you feel like you can be a real human too and work with herbs and stuff. But it also is important because I don't ever want to be so high on a pedestal that if I have a human moment, I get fucking burned at the stake for it. Right? Because I've seen people have that happen to them. They pretend so hard to live some perfect aesthetic, and then when they slip and they show something that they're doing that's human, they get just eviscerated. Right. And then they're like, "Why did you treat me like that?" I'm like, "Well, if you build up this concept that you're like perfectly put together, and that like you never like eat shitty food or like make mistakes, and you never feel sick, or you never have emotions, and you don't have relationship problems, if you then show that to people, you damage their like romanticized view of you, and they don't like that. They don't like that you've broken the fantasy, and so we attack, right? And it's just human nature with social media. Yeah, my daughter's doing a good job smashing trolls this morning. um but yeah, I would say that this doesn't just have to apply to like going live every day. Like, you don't have to be like, all right, I'm gonna go live every day so I can see all these changes. But like, if there's one thing that you can do every day, if you're like, I'm gonna go for a relaxing walk every day, I'm gonna, do meditation or breath work every day, I'm gonna sit and write in my journal, I'm gonna paint, I'm gonna have a cup of tea in silence, whatever it is. It could even be like calling and talking to somebody every day or anything like that. If you do it consistently enough, It takes like what, 30 days to make a habit. Here I am in day 34. I'm like, done. No. Right. But I think that it would probably have similar effects because it would give you something to look forward to. It would tell your brain that things were different. It would be like routine. And as much as people like to be wild and free, the human mind likes routine. It likes knowing that we're doing something specifically, but you have to be careful about what routine you give it. If your routine is nothing but stress and overworking and over worrying and sadness and lack of self-care, that is what your brain is going to glom onto every day. But if we fight against it and we're doing something that makes us feel a little bit better, makes us feel less alone, or any of those things, that is what your brain gets used to as a routine, and by proxy things will outwardly change around you too. How you look at a situation, how you view the world, how your environment is, things like that. Um, but yeah, I think that this is gonna sound dramatic as fuck. I think in some ways, deciding to go live here with you every day has saved me. I almost want to say save my life, but like it's up there with that though, because stress and depression kills. I mean it. Like, and so like what was I going to do? Continue to be like in this like horrible cycle where I have to constantly push myself to do anything, to where like I dreaded being present on social media, which is my job, and so it just kind of like everything I did felt like it was forced, and I was always just, I'm like, but now I don't feel that way anymore. And that means my nervous system has shifted, that my nervous system is no longer constantly stressed. And that is life saving. That really is. It probably puts a bunch of years back on my life, or at least stops marking them off the board, you know? Um, Plus, I mean, I consistently have tea every morning. I was doing that anyways, but it's been it's been a pretty fantastic way. Also, actually, Let me take a moment to thank tea for this, because I started drinking tea, what, 5 months ago now, maybe six. Um, when I discovered by an accident that my glutamate levels were through the roof, um, and wanting to lower glutamate, I started looking into obviously what herbs could do that, and I came across a lot of them that could do it. But I also, had to kind of like refine down what I was going to use and what I was going to do. And green tea was the first thing that I started working with consistently, that made a huge impact, right, on how I felt. Like if my skin was no longer burning, because like my ears will like go so bright red, it's like looks like the color of that live box right up there, like stop sign red, and it like hurts the touch, like it's on fire. That was a symptom of benzo damage from when I was like coming off of benzos and stuff like that. But actually, what it really is it makes the glutamate levels in my brain go really high, because that's what long term use of benzos does. So I got into tea, which I don't ever drink caffeine. I stay away from caffeine, but I'm like, okay, let's start learning about tea and build this relationship. And it has saved me. If I hadn't have looked into that, and I hadn't started drinking tea on a daily consistent basis, I would not have been like, I should have my morning tea live every morning on YouTube. I wouldn't have done that. I really wouldn't have. And it's been really impactful on my health, just having this little cup of tea with you. I also have usually second tea in the later in the day with my husband, because I had been having tea time every morning with him, and I don't want to like deprive him of that, but I don't mind a second cup of tea, because usually we share this. So I have like a cup to myself in the morning, and then like half a cup in the afternoon. I'm not pounding it. Herbs, a little goes a long way, right? Especially when there are stronger properties in it, and it's more about like the compounds in the tea than it is necessarily the nutrition, right? And so it has been a really big help. It has been a huge help with my mental health, with my physical health, with my outlook on life. I don't know. It also, because I know some people might watch this because they're curious just about, why go live every day for 30 days. From a YouTube channel perspective, all my numbers are through the roof. And they were down pretty low because I wasn't like posting stuff consistently. But I've got way more views, way more followers, way more interaction, things like that. It's still not. I mean, I get ad pay, but like not enough that it's like paying many bills. But there's some. But but that's not what's important to me. It really isn't. It's not why I did it. And I don't know. I think that it would be beneficial for anybody watching this to find a way to make your own quote unquote tea time, regardless of how you do it or where you do it. You don't have to broadcast it to the world. Right, but whatever you do, find that thing that you do every day, at least 5 days, that gives your brain pause, a break, a way to make a different habit, to see the world in a different way. And I'm really excited to see what happens in the next 30 days, right? Because I'm just at day 34. Technically, I've only had a habit in place for 3 days. Right, I've got a little ways to go, right? And so I really do look forward to continuing these and seeing how I grow, how we grow, how this grows, what else it opens up, what else it can do for me, like in my mental health and physical and all the things I've already said. But I am genuinely excited about it. So it looks like I've hit my 30-minute mark, and that's another thing I forgot to mention. It's really helping me have boundaries with my time and myself. Like, I know I can talk for 3 hours, but my brain is like, please don't. Well, no, my brain is like, please do, but my body is like, I have physical limitations. My brain's like, shut up. And so I have found that really helpful. It helps me not feel bad about jumping off or not answering every question. I'm like, okay, human limitations. We're learning them, April. So, if you like watching my random self experiments, hearing me jabber, just being a real human with you, consider becoming a member. It's a way to throw me a couple bucks every month to support my capacity to be here with you, to teach freely, to keep tea in my pot and a roof over my head. You can also call things home from my Wildwood Apothecary shop. I make all kinds of things. I've got books, I've got herbal synergism capsules, I've got mouth mud, I've got pit goop. I'm working on getting help with bringing a lot of other things back that I've made over the years without having to use my body like a machine. So definitely keep an eye out. You can use the code TEATIME, TEATIME, to save 10% off of anything you'd like from the apothecary. And that is exclusively what we do for a living. So it's like the very definition of what supports my capacity to teach freely and be here with you. But also be sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Sharing is super important because it helps other people realize that they are smart enough to do this too. And it gets my work out there in the world and tells the algorithm that people want to see what I'm doing. So thank you so much for joining me for tea time, and I will definitely see you tomorrow, folks. Bye.